ask yourself this. Do you really want to live in New York? Because if you do, you also have to accept the fact that you'll probably have to settle for a much smaller apartment and get used to living with roommates. And we all know how great that can be.
Yes! Fellas?
Okay, so he's out of here.
New York is becoming completely unaffordable for regular people. The city is experiencing the worst affordability crisis in 2 decades. And half of New York's households can't actually afford to live in the city. Now, this is happening in multiple cities all over the world, like Amsterdam, London, Singapore, and Sydney, for example. But today, let's focus on beautiful New York City, the Big Apple, land of the free, land of Walmarts and Big Macs and mobility scooters. So yeah, let's find out why New York got so flippin' expensive. New York has a history of being a very popular city. It was founded by the Dutch. They were looking for a shortcut to go to Asia, but they didn't find one. What they did find were beavers, a whole lot of beavers. Yay! Now that doesn't sound all that great, but back then beaver fur was very valuable. So the Dutch stayed and they founded New Amsterdam. But because of the prime location near the ocean, the English were also very interested. There was a lot of fighting, and when the English eventually won, they changed the name to New York. It became the hotspot for fur trade thanks to the port, which connected New York to other big cities. The port of New York also became the entry point for millions of European immigrants during the 19th century. In 1886, as a symbol of hope and freedom for everyone coming to America, the Statue of Liberty was given as a gift from France. And even though the statue of Roman goddess Liberty is impressive to look at, the French really missed an opportunity to mess with America here. Then, during the Roaring 20s, New York was bubbling with energy. Skyscrapers started popping up, and all the way until 1974, the tallest building in the world was always in New York City. It is the place to be. And by now you'll understand that it's always been a big trading city and a cultural hotspot where different cultures come together. So naturally, because of that, living in New York has always been relatively expensive. But especially over the last 20 years, things like housing, healthcare, and college tuition have shot through the roof, while the minimum wage is slacking behind. Half of New York's population is slowly being pushed away out of the city because they simply cannot afford it anymore. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Now maybe this is the most obvious one, but there's just too many people. There's almost 8.5 million people living in this area. New York City has become an icon. It's often romanticized in popular TV shows, and it's attracting a lot of people who want to be part of this bubbly urban lifestyle.
I like energy. I feel like it's kind of like a cliche thing to say, but I feel like I can just like walk outside and it's like, and things are always happening, and I feel like I can be like a new person every day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The housing market simply can't keep up. There's barely enough space for New Yorkers, let alone for the 66 million people visiting New York as a tourist. So there's a lot of competition constantly pushing up the price of housing. It's especially bad in Manhattan, where the average rent is $4,095 per month for a single bedroom apartment. And if you prefer to save a little bit of money instead in exchange for a longer commute, you could live on the other side of this bridge in Brooklyn, for example. But what's been happening over the years is that rental prices in Brooklyn have also gone up. I mean, just take a look at this graph. And I know we had COVID here and the whole market took a hit, but still, in just 3 years, the average price of an apartment in Brooklyn has increased by 66%. And I'll show you something that'll probably blow your mind. So there's this thing in America, but especially in New York, where rental agencies require you to earn an annual salary of 40 times the rent. Otherwise, they're not going to rent you an apartment. So for Brooklyn, you'd have to make an annual salary of $150,000 just to rent a one-bedroom apartment. But here's the thing, the average salary of people actually living in Brooklyn is $43,000. And what makes this even more crazy is that this is an affordable neighborhood in New York. I think New York has always attracted money. I mean, it's the wealthiest city in the entire world. And I think these super rich people are part of the problem. And I know, it's the most cliche thing ever that evil, greedy rich people are making life harder for the rest of the population. But hey, sometimes there's a truth to be found in cliches.
Family, religion, friendship. These are the 3 demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business.
If you look south of Central Park, for example, you'll find this place called Billionaires Row. It's a group of insanely high-end luxury skyscrapers. Some of them are among the tallest buildings in the entire world. Now, these apartments are expensive, and I mean really expensive. Billionaires Row is making a lot of people angry. And part of that is because of New York has very strict regulations and zoning laws. You cannot just build wherever you want. There's this term called FAR, floor area ratio, and that basically determines how much space a building can take up. Now you could build a very low and wide building to fill up all of your FAR, or instead you could build a very slim but tall building. And that's exactly what happened on Billionaires Row. 57th Street, where these super tall towers are located, has a very high FAR number of 15. So it's kind of a mecca for high-end real estate developers who can build their tall and slim towers that are unfit for regular housing high up in the sky, casting their shadows over Central Park. Another problem with this, and again a big reason why people are angry, is that 44% of all of these apartments on Billionaires Row are not sold. They are completely empty. And the ones that are sold are usually not bought by anyone who will actually live there. They're bought as an investment, or for tax avoidance or money laundering, you name it. They act as a way of storing capital, a piggy bank, a rainy day fund for the super rich. But it's not just the shadows over Central Park. Part of the reason why Brooklyn became so much more expensive is because rich people or investment funds are buying up real estate all over New York, gentrifying neighborhoods. More and more, it seems like New York is favoring the super rich over the majority of its people.
I am considering not coming back to Manhattan.
We knew it was going to be small, we knew it was going to be expensive, and that's definitely proven to be the case.
With this crazy demand for housing, jackpot prices per square foot of land, and strict zoning laws, you'd expect that the government would do anything they can to build more housing, or maybe improve public transport to bring back the amount of cars. We all know parking lots are not the most efficient use of space, but no. Instead, they're building robotic parking buildings where you can buy a parking spot for $400,000. But hey, at least then you'll have an app that can fetch your car for you when it's time for a nice drive with your dog. If there's a solution at all, it's going to have to come from within the government, and it's going to take new policies and laws that put the people first instead of catering to the highest bidder. Or you just need to become super rich and buy one of these apartments on Billionaires Row. And then the only thing you need to worry about is whether you'll crack open the 30 or 25-year-old single malt to sip on while looking down on all the peasants below. As always, thank you so much for watching, give this video a like and subscribe. After all, it's free, unlike this apartment. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.
What are you doing here?
What?
What are you doing here?
No, nothing. I'm just recording a video.
Get out.
Okay.
Get
Okay,
out.
okay,
Now,
I'll go.
go.
I'll go.
Get out.
Shh, jeez.